Hi everyone! Today I want to talk about a new ring that has been added to the game following the 110 crafting update, the Ring of Retribution. The description says what it does. It basically reflects 15% of the damage back at the target. It also boosts any type of reflection damage. It sounds good on paper, but how does it compare to existing rings like the Rex Matriarch rings? Because this channel focuses primarily on ranged, I will focus on comparing it with the Stalker's ring. First, let's figure out how to make this ring. I just head up to the veins of platinum ores north of Uzer, whack the ores with my head, turn them into bars using the furnace, with Dragonstone create a bunch of platinum rings, level 5 enchant them, combine 10 of them into a singular version. Now it has a charge of 100k life points. That's not a lot. Let's do a simple comparison using Archglaker's cannon. How much of a difference is the reflection damage? At first I thought it was bugged, but I completely forgot deflection players only have a 67% chance at deflecting. Now let's compare the differences with Reflect. Let's also compare Vengeance. A separate hit splat is displayed, so it looks like it doesn't affect Vengeance. For Devotion, it's a hit or miss situation. If Deflect magic even fails to trigger, it's 0 reflection damage. Let's take a step back and observe these numbers. Because of armor and defense level, I am unable to figure out the damage I was supposed to take originally, which affects the calculations. But from what I observed, both the extra 12.5% reflect damage and the 15% reflect damage will be combined into one hit splat, except for Vengeance. Although I am still off from the actual reflected damage for both Deflect Magic and Reflect ability, when I look at Vengeance, I'm able to see how it actually works. Because it doesn't work with Vengeance, if you look closely at the second hit splat, that 12.5% boost to reflect damage also affects the 15% reflect damage from the ring itself. So now if I go back to Deflect Magic and Reflect, the number is a lot closer to the actual reflected damage. Now math makes my eyes blur, so I'd rather show you some results. Let's see how it compares as a camp ring. At Hard Mode Forecast, I found my kill time didn't really change at all, and it still averages around 330. My kill times have been relatively the same, which I suppose it works out. But now, let's take a look at some of the damage it does a little bit closer. Since some of the reflection damage on Zamargo is thrown back at Forecast, you can see the reflection damage. So, it's not a very big reflect damage, and it's misleading because of the Deflect Necro. If you look at the minions, it is possible for them to take a big hit. Most of the time, the reflection damage is very minor. It would take too long to even lose 10k of its HP. Death Touch Bracelet does have a unique mechanic of piercing reflection damage immunity. But does this ring also have the same effect? Let's go test it at Carapax Slam since you cannot reflect Carapax Slam damage. After the first slam, I didn't see any reflection. After 3 Hard Mode Vorkath kills, I already used more than half of the charges. The upkeep on this is terrible. This ring is probably decent for those that are brave enough to reflect big damage dealing mechanics like the cannon from Archglaker by switching to it. I wonder, if I was to block that with resonance, would the reflection damage still happen? Nope. For AoE Slayer, I mean you could get away with this ring for a little tiny extra damage, but if the creature is not that harmful, it's not much of a difference. In most cases, I argue needing to recharge this ring constantly due to its low durability stinks. Considering you can buy this from the Grand Exchange, this could be a useful starting ring in the future, but we'll have to see. In the end, I didn't notice a huge difference, and I would prefer my Stalker's ring for crit and crit damage over reflection damage if I'm going to camp rings, since these rings have a 9-second charging. Stalker's ring is even better if the target doesn't fight back. This preference of mine also assumes that I'm always in a comfortable situation to do enough DPS. Running around like a chicken and do Yakamaru and doing no DPS? Now we're talking. Other than some durability problems, it does fit the purpose of being another ring to use in your arsenal. Have you tried these rings? Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, subscribe if you enjoyed, and bye bye.